monitor throughout the call, and you can feel free to poke any questions in there, or which we love, if you have any aha moments or something stands out, go ahead and throw that in so that other people can participate as well. So that being said, we have this morning's guest, Shon Kokoszka. Am I saying it right? Kokoszka?
Hey, close enough, man. It's all good.
Okay. Good enough. So he's coming to us from Austin, Texas, and we've got a nice little flair. Not only is he a super cool dude, he is a epic coach, not just real estate as well. From what we gathered in our background, he's quite diverse. So Shon, why don't you give us a real brief background on you?
Sure. Well, I'll just give you some high level, guys. It's not about me. It's all about you. However, I think I need to answer the question, why should I listen to this guy, right? Well, first and foremost, I've sold over 4,000 homes in my real estate career, getting over $1 billion in sales volume. I've started many companies, mortgage company, title company, land development company, home building company. In fact, in Denver, Colorado, at one time, I was the car wash king, you know, the coin-op car washes. So I've been involved with all types of different businesses. My wife and I even built a restaurant over the water in Denver, Colorado as well, and ran that for 4 years. But bottom line is, I aligned with this guy named Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, and we started together this company called Keller Williams Maps Coaching. We coached over 5,000 agents at any given moment. And so I've personally consulted and coached with the top producing agents and teams across the globe. Now, Gary and I started a different company together called Maps Business Training, where we took our proprietary models, systems, technology, and training to all industries outside of real estate sales. So I've consulted for, McDonald's, Panasonic, FedEx, Sport Clips, T-Mobile. You can see the list of companies there, and about 5,000 other companies you've never heard of before. Yet I've got tens of thousands of hours of business model analysis under my belt. Here's what we're going to cover today. And Joe, do you mind if I just dive in?
Go, let's go.
All right. And you got this recording, right?
Yep.
All right, just making sure. Here we go. Here's what we're going to cover today, gang. First, we're going to talk about the 4 big reasons why many agents do not convert leads. So we're also going to dive into my proprietary 7-step lead conversion formula. That's going to include closing technique that I reference as ABC. Second, the 3 steps to success with your lender, where that's going to include that. So let's just dive in, because we've got a very short period of time. So it's going to come at you fast. It's going to come at you quick. I encourage you, write down as many notes as you possibly can. All right. By the way, I'm also going to put in the chat function at the end of our time together a link to this fully transcribed so that you guys can implement and deploy this immediately. However, you must be present in order to download it. Okay. So don't leave early. Just stick around. All right. The number one reason, by the way, that people are not converting leads at a high level, well, it's response time. Now, this is a case study that was conducted by the California Association of Realtors, which suggests that 49% of the real estate prospects in the marketplace today expect an instant response, and they're disappointed if they don't get it. In fact, they're on to the next property, they're on to the next agent. Now, sadly, only 8% of us in this real estate community are delivering an instant response. And sadly, I don't think that is on purpose, meaning I don't think they have the right models, the right systems in place to deliver an instant response every single time. It was probably more often than not by happenstance. They just happened to answer their phone when it rang that time, or they happened to be in front of their computer when the email came in, right? Now look at this, less than 30 minutes, only 29% are still satisfied, yet 7% of us are able to deliver that type of service. Less than an hour, 16% still satisfied. Less than 2 hours, it drops all the way down to 4%. Look at this, less than 4 hours, only 2% say that they're satisfied with that type of service. Look at this, same day, it's not good enough anymore. Nobody's satisfied, same day type service. More than 24 hours, well, 10% of us are delivering that type of response time to our prospects. Now, interesting thing about this case study, California Association of Realtors did this back in 2014. Let me ask, do you think the consumer's expectation has risen or fallen over the last 6 years?
Risen.
It's definitely gone up, and it's not necessarily our fault. It's due to extrinsic pressure associated with different industry types. For example, with my mobile device, 2 clicks on Amazon Prime, I could have something show up at my front doorstep this afternoon. Why on earth can't my realtor answer their phone? Or if I took this envelope that says FedEx on it, and I put it in this little metal box out here, it would hit your city by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Why can't my brochure box consistently be full? You understand? See, instant gratification, gang, it's just not fast enough. I don't know about you. I find myself standing in front of the microwave saying, God damn it, I don't have all minute. Let's go, right? I want it now. I want it yesterday. All right, let's go on to the next reason. And again, I'm just going to go fast, guys, because I've only got a few minutes, yet it's number of attempts. Now, top producer in association with 5 Street, they did a case study for all of you and I, which in essence, they were able to identify the leads. They were able to push it through the 5 Street, and through their voice over IP could tell how many times, how many attempts the realtor made to reach that prospect, that lead. And the average, gang, sadly, it was just 1.2 times before they just tossed it in the trash can. Now, in the same case study, they suggest that if you attempt to reach a prospect 6 times over a 6-day period, you will increase your ability to convert them from a prospect to a client by, hear this, by over 900%. So guys, it's about number of attempts. Now, thanks to the digital marketing revolution, companies like Zillow and Realtor.com and your personal websites, buyer and seller prospects have the ability now to identify themselves as a quote unquote lead way too early in the pipeline. I mean, back in the old days, it used to be they'd pull up in front of a house, they'd pull out their cell phone, they would call you directly, and obviously they have a certain level of motivation. Now, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're in their pajamas, they can't sleep, they jump on Zillow and they fill out some web form, and you think you've got a lead. It's not a lead, it's not even a prospect, it's probably barely a suspect at this point, right? See, they're in this category of what I call the dreaming phase, okay? So 2 distinct categories thanks to the digital marketing revolution. There's the dreaming phase where they're just dreaming about it, they're thinking about it, right? And then there's this phase over here where it's the actual buying and listing phase, right? Now, here's the greatest challenge you and I face, that if we ignore them when they're in the dreaming phase, well, they're going to ignore us when they get to the buying or listing phase. So having a powerful CRM tool to have automation associated with your communication campaigns to nurture this prospect from the dreaming phase into the actual buying or listing phase is something that you must master. And it's something that we specialize in here at ICON Coaching. You've heard it said before, the fortune is in the follow-up. There's no doubt about that. Yet motivated prospects, while they're located, they're not created. Okay, so conversion rates on internet leads are going to be between 3 and 5%. Unless you apply this methodology, you can get it up as high as 7%. Okay, so tune in. Here's what I'd recommend, by the way, as it relates to your follow-up process. I call it the 3x3 approach. That's 3 attempts to reach the prospect per day for the first 3 days, 3 attempts per week for the next 3 weeks, then 3 attempts per month for the next 3 months. Now, obviously, once you reach the prospect, you determine their motivation, their financial ability to qualify. Well, then you'll launch a more customized approach once you get them off of the 3x3 plan. Whatever that customized approach needs to look like, you'll be able to make those determinations. Let's talk about the next reason. Well, frankly, they're not efficient with their time. They want to do this, they want to do that, and sadly, they want to do everything all at once, right? They end up with 15 projects all working simultaneously. Sadly, their focus is so diluted that they're not accomplishing a darn thing. And in fact, they've mistaked movement for achievement. I'd ask you to write this down. Don't mistake movement for achievement. We've all experienced that phenomenon. Show up to work early that day, right? You work all day long, you finish late. You look back upon the day and you say, sure, I was busy. Yet did I do anything that's actually going to move the needle for my production or my bank account balance? And if the answer is no, guys, you've been sucked down into the 80% work. And I'm referencing Pareto's principle here, right? The 80-20 rule. 20% of your actions in real estate will yield at least 80% of your results. And here's the secret. It's those that have figured out how to give an inordinate amount of their time to the 20% work that really get on in this business, that literally double, triple, quadruple their production rate. Now, with that said, there's just 5 things on the 20% job description list. Write this down real quick. Number 1 is to practice. You got to know what to say. You got to know how to say it. Number 2 is to lead generate, to focus on identifying more prospects in the marketplace today. And there's 1,000 different ways to do that, no doubt. Third would be lead follow-up and conversion. That's what we're going to talk about today, because most realtors, they don't necessarily have a lead generation problem. What they have is a lead conversion problem. Number 4 is to go on appointments. And number 5, negotiate contracts. And again, it's those people that have figured out how to give an inordinate amount of their time to those 5 things that really crush it in real estate sales. I want to share with you one strategy. And by the way, this is a full session in my 16-week training and coaching program that I'm going to tell you about a little bit later. It's a full session on how to ring out your day, how to get the most out of your day. I developed this methodology when assisting Gary Keller and Jay Papasan in the writing of the book, The One Thing, and then training that methodology all over the world, frankly. Now, here's one of the approaches that I share in that 5th session of Accelerated Breakthrough. I call it the 4D approach. So anytime you think of doing something, and I mean anything, gang, I'm going to ask you to go through these 4 Ds before you take action. Number 1, ask yourself, can I ditch it? Does it even need to be done at all? Now, when I started my career, I was 20 years old. I started with Remax. My mother and I formed a team, and we were consistently top 100 internationally with Remax. Now, when I learned of this approach, I was just 21 years old, and I was looking at my schedule. I was a buyer's agent on the team, and I was consistently closing over 100 buyer-side transactions per year with one unlicensed assistant. Now, I looked at my schedule. I said, where are my time bandits? Now, imagine doing over 100 buyer transactions per year. And the way I was trained to do it is that I would personally attend all of my home inspections. Now think about it. The average home inspection takes 3 to 3.5 hours, including drive time. And let's multiply that just by 100. So 3 times 100, that's 300 hours. Let's divide that by a 40-hour work week. That was 7.5 weeks of my life that I was investing in home inspections. And frankly, here's how I viewed it. If the furnace is broken, the darn furnace is broken. I'm not going to strap on a tool belt and fix the darn thing, right? So it took some education, took some counseling of listing agents, even my own broker and our counsel to say, Shon doesn't physically have to be present to do the home inspections. So I'm not suggesting that you don't go on home inspections. That's just my perspective, okay? That's how I viewed it, okay? Number 2, ask yourself, can I delegate it? Who can do that for me? The who question is a leverage question. Again, I looked at my schedule. What was I investing most of my time in? And anywhere from 4 to sometimes 6 hours per day was invested in follow-up, lead follow-up. Just put the headset on and man, just grind your way through it, right? To identify the motivated. Now I do recognize it's the prospector that moves the most dirt that's going to find the most gold, right? So I had to churn my way through all of the leads that we'd identified to find the motivated. Now, I looked at my schedule again and I said, who can do that for me? Well, my assistant was unlicensed. She couldn't do it. My mind immediately went to my lender. I said, who else benefits when I close a transaction? So I called up my favorite lender and I said, listen, I want to give you the opportunity to earn the business of every buyer lead that we pull into our offices. As you know, we've created a lead generation machine. However, you've got to earn that right. He said, Shon, what do I have to do? I said 3 things. Number 1, you got to follow up with every one of my buyer prospects until they buy or die. Can you do that? Okay. Number 2, you need to report to me on a weekly basis. The full pipeline. What was the last point of communication? What's the planned next point of communication? And how would you rate this prospect on a scale from 1 to 10? Number 3, you got to use my scripts. Okay. Here's how the first script went, guys. Hi, this is John with XYZ Mortgage Company, and Shon Kokoszka asked me to give you a call. And before I begin, I just want to take a moment and commend you on your selection of a realtor. You know what? Shon is by far the best realtor I've ever come across, and I've been doing this for 32 years. How'd you get in touch with Shon? See, when they edify you guys, they can sell you a hell of a lot better than you could sell yourself. See, if I said that, it comes from a position of ego. They say it, it's just a third-party endorsement. They grease the skids for me, you understand? So what can you delegate that you're currently doing today? See, so many times in order to go up, you must give something up. And sure, I've had to give up many things that I enjoyed doing in order to increase my level of productivity. Number 3, ask yourself, can I do it later? Now, this only works if you've got a time block set aside to do that task later. Otherwise, it simply turns into procrastination. So if you're not working a time block schedule, now's the time. Now's the time to build out that perfect week schedule so that you can approach your day and your week with massive intentionality. And finally, the last resort, guys, the final option, do it now. And as I said earlier, most realtors want to do everything right now. They end up with 15 projects working simultaneously. Their focus is far too diluted. They're not accomplishing a darn thing, right? So don't mistake movement for achievement. All right, let's go to the final reason. You know, frankly, they just don't know what to say. They get a prospect on the phone, and we've all experienced that phenomenon where everything that comes out of your mouth is just so sweet. I mean, it's just perfect, right? It just feels so good. You set an appointment, you hang up the call, and you're feeling pretty smug. And yet at the same time, you're asking yourself, can I do it again next time? See, I believe in systems, and a system to me is a standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. So to systemize the dialogue will help you get that consistent, predictable result. Additionally, it allowed me to split test it. And frankly, what we're about to review, guys, I've split tested to the moon and back, okay? Now, This is going to be the proven best practices in real estate sales from my humble opinion. And we're going to get into that. Before we do that, let me just share with you the goals of the prospect. First, they seem counterintuitive. Number one, to eliminate the property. And why? Because they want to invest their time wisely, and they're no different than you, and you're no different than them. Like, let's say that you go to autotrader.com. You want to buy a 1969 Super Sport Camaro, right? So you get into the Camaro section and you immediately go into elimination mode. Isn't that true? Wrong year, cross it off the list. Wrong year, or wrong, too many miles, cross it off the list. Oh, I wanted black, that one's red, cross it off the list, right? Oh, the engine hasn't been, cross it off the list. And essentially, your goal is to eliminate all those cars from your search so that you too can invest your time wisely. You contact that seller, you ask a few questions, right? So your agenda is pretty shallow. And if you don't get the answers you want, well, then you just want to eliminate that salesperson, right? So their goals are pretty clear: to eliminate the property so they can invest their time wisely, then eliminate you. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the structure of a lead conversion conversation. And again, if you stay till the end, I am going to share a link to this particular document to where you too can implement this quickly. Can you see that? Okay, 7-step formula. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so point number one, we're going to begin the conversation with a simple alternative choice question. The mistake that a lot of agents make is they call a prospect and they say, hi, this is Sean with EXP Realty. Thanks for taking my call. Say, I met you at my open house 2 weekends ago, and I just wanted to follow up with you and see if you got all the information you were after. Major mistake. Why? Well, think about it. What are the goals of the prospect? To eliminate the property. They've already done that. They looked at the open house 2 weeks ago, right? What's their next goal? Eliminate you. So no disclosure of how you got their contact information, at least not at first, unless they ask, okay? It's a waste of time and energy, okay? Second, log into MLS. Third, build rapport based on the needs of your prospect. Number 4, position yourself to possess something they want. Number 5, close for an appointment. Number 6, handle any objections and ask again. Number 7, then we're going to qualify this lead, qualify this appointment. Now, frankly, I put qualification last because they have scripts like we have scripts, right? And oftentimes I'll get in a role play with a new client of mine and I say, okay, let's just figure out where do you start in terms of skill set? And I would say something like, okay, you're following up with me. How do you lead in? And they'll ask a question on the lead in. And then the next question out of their mouth is, are you working with a realtor? Now, guys, again, their goal is to eliminate you. So they know if they say yes to that question, you're not going to bother them, right? So you haven't had a chance to establish rapport. You haven't had a chance to prove your worth or outline your unique value proposition for that matter. So I put qualification last because you're going to get more authentic responses to the qualifying questions. Give them what they want, then they'll give you what you want. So you can't kick the side of a wood burning stove and say, give me heat and I'll give you wood, right? You have to put the wood in first. So we're going to go into this structure here. We're going to start with this alternative choice question, and it's super simple. Hi, John. This is Shon Kokoszka with EXP Realty. Thanks for taking my call. Say, I'm just calling to update my files, see if you're still in the market to buy a home, or are you looking to rent? Now, I've certainly rented properties in my past, and yet most people, it almost forces them to say, no, I'd like to buy, right? I'd like to buy. So this alternative choice question, very pointed, and more often than not, you're going to get the, no, I'd like to buy. So you give them a quick affirmation. Hey, good for you. Real quick, I'm logging into our multiple listing service platform, and in a matter of moments, I'll be able to let you know how many properties are currently active and on the market that match your specific search criteria. So tell me, what part of town are you most interested in? And we segue naturally into step number 3 to build rapport based on their needs. How many bedrooms would you like to have? What price range are you comfortable with? Do you need a garage? What style of home are you after? Would you like a newer home, older home? Does it matter? Is there a particular school district, right? And what you're doing is you're typing in their criteria right into a live MLS search in an effort to position yourself to possess something the prospect wants. Now, once you've done this, the magic moment has arrived, meaning it's time to close for the appointment. So you say, I have fantastic news. There are 11 homes currently on the market that match your specific search criteria. So fortunately, and here's where we get into this ABC approach, which the old ABC stood for always be closing, which is super cheesy and it never did a realtor any good, right? No offense to the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. Love the movie, hate the line, okay? Always be closing is stupid. It's about action, benefit, commitment. So you as the salesperson, you're going to outline the action you want them to take. In this case, it's to set an appointment. We can meet on a Zoom meeting, okay? That's the action. Yet the moment you ask them to take an action, there's a question that appears within their mind. That's what's in it for me. Why should I do that? So that's why we immediately follow the action with the benefit. In essence, you say, here's what's in it for you. Here's why you should say yes. And then we naturally segue right into the commitment, and that should be alternative choice. So tell me, when's the best time for you to get together with me? Is it weekdays or weekends? Really simple, right? So I'm providing you all with a worksheet here where the action, it always remains the same. You insert your benefit. Why would the prospect want to meet with you? And then you segue right into the commitment, which always remains the same. And what I'll challenge you to do is come up with benefits for a first-time home buyer, which is going to be totally different than, say, for an empty nester who's downsizing, or an investor or second home buyer. The benefit is totally different, right? So I've given you an example here, and I'll just read it off real quick. I threw in a couple of benefits so you can get the point. So at this point, I say, I have fantastic news. There are 8 homes currently on the market that match your specific search criteria. So fortunately, all we need to do now is simply set an appointment for us to meet on Zoom meeting. Now, I'll pull up every listing, including photos, virtual tours, and drone footage, and that way you can view the listings on screen before you waste your time or money on guests driving by them. I'll also share with you proven negotiating strategies that will help you get the best price on the home that you purchase, and I'll share a list of off-market listings so you can ideally purchase your home without any competition. So tell me, when is the best time for you to get together with me? Is it weekdays or weekends? So there's an example with 3 basic benefits. However, I would challenge you to come up with your own benefits. What is the benefit? Why would somebody want to meet with you? Like if I were to buy a home in your market area, why would I call you? What makes you valuable? If I had to list my home for sale, why would I want you to represent me on the sale? And by answering those questions, you're really articulating your value proposition, the thing that makes you unique in the marketplace today. Now, I think this is critically important because in real estate, gang, we don't sell houses. We don't sell real estate. We sell ourselves. We sell our service every single day. And I think it's those of you that are best at selling yourselves are the ones that are really going to earn the business in the long run. Okay, so we segue through the action, benefit, commitment approach. Oftentimes, at this point, they're going to object. They're going to say something like, well, let me speak with my wife and I'll call you back, right? Now, if you let them off the phone, what are the chances they're going to call you back? They're not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. And you can't lose what you don't already possess. Agreed? So you might as well go for it. So there are 10 common buyer objections, and I've got all the rebuttal strategies that have been split tested to the moon and back, guys. And in that particular objection, they say, let me talk with my wife and I'll call you back. Here's what you want to do. First, acknowledge the objection. In fact, there's 4 steps, okay? Number 1, acknowledge the objection. Well, I certainly understand you need to speak with your wife before setting an appointment with me. Then you're going to isolate the objection. Yet let me ask, other than just needing to speak with your wife, is there any other reason you wouldn't set an appointment to meet with me today? They say, nope, that's the only reason. Now, step number 3, you can handle the objection, okay? Again, I understand, yet let me ask, if it's okay with your wife to set an appointment with me, is it okay with you? Now, see, they're playing good guy, bad guy with you, right? I'm the good guy, my wife's the bad guy. So you turn it right back around on them. If it's okay with your wife to meet with me, is it okay with you? Since they're the good guy, the answer is always yes. Then I'll tell you what we should do. Let's simply pencil in a time. And step number 3 is to handle the objection, right? Let's pencil in a time that you think is going to work best for your wife to get together with me. I'll call you back this evening to confirm the appointment. If it works, that's fantastic. If not, we'll simply reschedule the appointment. So tell me, when do you think is the best time for you, your wife, and I to get together on a Zoom meeting? Is it weekdays or weekends? Step number 4, ask again for what you want, right? So let's say they cave, they say weekends, you say Saturday or Sunday, they say Saturday. You say, I can meet you at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, which is best. They say 2 o'clock, fantastic. I'll send you the Zoom meetings, you confirm the details, get their email address, so on and so forth. Now, it's time to qualify the appointment. First, we're going to qualify motivation. Now, there's 3 areas that you must qualify prospects. Okay, number 1, you got to qualify their needs. Does that property even exist? Now, in this case, we've already done a live MLS search. We know that there's 8 listings that match our criteria. We can go ahead and check that box. Second is motivation. Okay, so there's 4 basic questions I think need to be asked. Number 1, do you need to sell your existing house before you purchase your next home? They say, nope, I'm in a rental. You clarify the details. Let me ask, when is your lease up? Are you month to month? They say, yeah, we're month to month. Fantastic. How soon would you like to be in your new home? They say within 90 days. That's fantastic. Tell me, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being an immediate need to buy a home and 1 means you're just curious, how would you rate yourself? They say an 8. So anything less than a 10, the fourth question, what would have to happen for you to become a 10? This is where the bones can sometimes fall out of the closet, right? But at least you now know what you need, what you're facing. So after those 4 questions, I believe you've now effectively qualified motivation. It's now time to transition into the financial. Now this 3-step formula, guys, when you master this, and I trust you will, you're gonna make hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars with this over the course of your career. Now let me tell you why. Because when you can get permission from your prospect to have your lender call them, your lender then contacts them, they edify you in the process. You remember the script. Hi, this is John with XYZ Mortgage Company, and Shon Kokoszka asked me to give you a call. And before I begin, I just want to take a moment, commend you on your selection of a realtor. You know, Shon is by far the best realtor I've ever come across. I've been doing this for 32 years. How'd you get in touch with Shon, right? When that happens, guys, your ability to convert them from a prospect to a client, guys, it increases exponentially. Almost magically, it helps make that segue, that transition happen. So smooth, right? So here's how you get permission. And it's 3 simple steps. You start this line of questioning by saying, are you paying cash or obtaining financing? We don't want to assume they need a mortgage. And they say, well, I'm pre-approved through Wells Fargo. Or they say, oh, I'm going to need a mortgage. I don't need to speak with the lender. Well, whatever they say, you stick to the formula, okay? Or they say, I need a loan. Great. All right. So whatever the case is. I say, are you paying cash or do you need financing? Oh, I'm already pre-approved through Wells Fargo. I say, good for you. Hey, let me ask, would it be okay with you if I help you save money on your mortgage? Now that's always a yes, guys. Then you go back to the ABCs, right? Action, benefit, commitment. Fantastic. Well, I'd like to get your permission to have my lender give you a call. This lender has consistently beat other lenders in our market area, both in closing costs and interest rates. And let's face it, even a 1/8% difference in interest rate, well, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars on a 30-year mortgage. So tell me, when is the best time for my lender to give you a call? Is it weekdays, weekends, or in the next 30 minutes? Now, I've never asked the are you pre-qualified question. Now I did that for like the first 6 months and it wasn't effective, meaning, well, are you pre-qualified? And even though I asked it as nicely as I could, I imagine here's how it sounded to the prospect. Can you qualify? What's your credit score, right? That's what it sounds like to them. So I never asked the are you pre-qualified question, never in a million years. And if they told me they were already pre-approved through a different lender, the second question is always the same. Would it be okay with you if I help you save money on your mortgage? Now, why? Because if I know that if you use my lender is going to help sell me, number one. Number two, I have pull with this lender, right? This lender wants to impress me, wants to maintain ownership of my business. So they're going to bend over backward to get this deal closed. If you close your mortgage through somebody I've never heard of, like a Rocket Mortgage or a Quicken Loans or whatever that is, right? Or Wells Fargo with an LO that I've never done business with, I'm just going to be a number to them. The bottom line is that if that file has a problem, it's going to end up on the bottom of a stack of files on this underwriter's desk, and I'm not going to get the attention I need to get this deal closed and closed on time. So in all cases, I wanted to control that relationship as much as possible. And yes, guys, I did recommend 3 different lenders, okay? I did recommend 3 lenders as the local boards and the state boards and the NAR would tell you to do. But the bottom line is if you can get them to use one of your approved lenders, you're going to get preferential treatment and it makes the deal smoother. You guys with me on that? Okay, 2 more questions and then I'll let you go. Number 1, I assume that because you contacted me originally directly that you're not contractually obligated to buy your home through another agent. Is that correct? It's just a more pointed way of asking, are you working with a realtor question? Okay. Now, NAR states that the average buyer talks to 14 agents before they actually buy a home. So yes, they're working with other agents at some level or another, right? So rather, are you contractually obligated to purchase your home through another agent, right? Then finally, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't that would better help me understand your situation? Well, fantastic. I look forward to seeing you Saturday at 2 o'clock. Now, the what you say, that's something totally different. Yeah, right? So you get on a Zoom meeting. What do you say in that initial counseling session? In session 7 of Accelerated Breakthrough, I walk you through my 20-point buyer presentation, which literally has a 100% conversion ratio from going through the presentation to a signed buyer agency contract, guys. I mean, it is powerful. And you learn that in session 7 of Accelerated Breakthrough. So I wanted to tell you about that real quick. Our next session launches on October 14th. It's 16 weeks, guys, 1 hour live on Zoom meeting just like this. where I'm going to share my slide deck. We're going to go through it. You're going to print off a workbook the day before. I'm going to ship you out this 3-ring binder, okay? And all you have to do is just clip it into the binder. I give you $1,400 worth of add-ons, including my 20-point buyer presentation, my listing presentation, which, by the way, my last year in production went on 162 listing appointments, took 160 listings. So it's a powerful listing presentation. You get it, all digital assets, okay? I give you a Facebook ad training program in coordination with Grant Wise, Real Estate Marketing University, valued at $500. You get full access to my library of content, again, valued at $500. All that stuff's included for a very simple investment, guys, of just $350 for all 4 months of coaching. It's a no-brainer, okay? So let me add value to you. Individuals who engage in this are literally doubling, tripling, quadrupling their production in real estate sales. So I asked Joe, I asked the team, would it be okay if I just kind of put that in front of you guys? And I trust that that's okay with all of you, but hey, it's what I get to do. So it's $350. How you'd get access to that, I'll just type in my website here. Just go to iconcoachinre.com. Right on the homepage, you'll see Accelerated Breakthrough. It's the first thing that you see. And I did promise you that I was going to give you this document in a downloadable format on the 7-step formula. So let me plug that into the chat function right now as well. And we'll call that out as 7 steps conversion. All right, real quick, let me hear from some of you. What are your ahas? What's your takeaways? What'd you gain?
I love the 4 Ds. I live by the ditch it and delete it, but I'm definitely guilty of the do it now syndrome where I'm spinning a lot of plates. So I will definitely be reevaluating how I look at those things.
Beautiful, Joe. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
I'm going to immediately, when we get done with this, type up your edification script and get it to my lender.
I love it, Dave. Way to go, man. Yeah, you got to coach the lender on the what to say, the how to say it, so that they can really edify you. And by the way, bring that to a totally different level. For example, you go on a listing presentation, you notice that the carpets are a little dirty, they need to be cleaned, right? So you have an approved vendor who's a carpet cleaner, and you ask their permission, would it be okay if my carpet cleaner contacted you? They do a great job and they're really inexpensive, and that needs to be done before you list it. Let's say you leave without a signed contract, right?
No.
You just call your carpet cleaner and ask him to edify you, and it works out just that way every time. All right, guys, I have to jump to my next call. I didn't realize we're 3 minutes over. So thank you all for your time. Have an outstanding week. Take care, everybody.
Here, Shon. Tell Diana Joe D said hello. All right. Well, that was fast and furious and drinking from the fire hose. However, there was a lot of gold in those in that. And for those of you that have joined in live, first of all, thank you. I hope you got tremendous value, were able to take notes. For those of you that are turning around and watching this on recording, I will certainly be rewatching this again later today, where I can pause and do some more writing. So I'd recommend you do the same. And for anybody that's on the line, if you want to find out more, click that link on the 7 steps to lead conversion. That was the notes today. Go ahead and click that now in the chat function so that you have it before we close down this live recording. Cody, anything from you?
Nope. I thought it was another good one.
Yep, that was easy for me. I just said hello and then sat back and warmed my hand by the couch. You know, it turns out I actually I didn't realize it, but I know Shon's mother pretty well from way back in the Mike Ferry days, and his stepdad Tony. He definitely comes from a very systemized approach.
Yeah.
Not something that he's speaking in theory, that they actually, that's how they ran everything, was a system. So.
Cool.
All right, guys, keep buying EXP stock because the the return is well worth it.
Yes, it is.
Amen.
Thank you, Sarah.
See ya.
Thanks, Steve.